Alright, so this is I can guess, kind of guide to register for classes for Binghamton University. So what you need to do first, you're going to go to Google, type in Binghamton uh, Brain, I guess, AIN, and a search. Alright, BU Brain, this is what you want to go to. Give it a second, and this should lead you to a page that looks like this. You're going to type in your user ID and your password. For me, it's already like saved here, but you'll type yours in, log in. Then it'll bring it to here. So this is pretty much where we're going to register. But first, you're going to go to Student, Registration. And before you register, you're going to look up classes. Search by term, this upcoming one. You're going to submit that. And now here's where you search your classes. All classes are, like, I guess, named by a few letters and then a number. The few letters are for like the department it's in. Let's say we want to sign up for Physics 121. A good way to do that, you just type in Physics and 121. You don't have to type in the 121. It just narrows your search. So here's all the Physics 121. The first first three are lectures. Then you have your discussions and your act, which is a lab. If you want to sign up for this class, you need one of each of these. You need a lecture, a discussion, and the lab. So you pretty much find out what works out best for you. Once you find like all the classes you need, you might have to adjust sometimes, like see how they fit together and everything. But eventually you'll get used to it, and it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. What else? If you're looking for Gen Ed classes, you're going to go to General Education tab. Make sure this is on all, and you're going to go to whatever Gen Ed you need. Each school needs a different series of Gen Eds, but let's look at aesthetics. I think most schools need an aesthetics requirement. So this will search every department for every aesthetics course. And by that I mean every course that would fulfill an aesthetics requirement. So if you look to the right over here, it's a Gen Ed, and every one of these has an A, which means it fulfills an A requirement. Some of them have an A and an O here. Let's say you're an A and a G. This does not mean it fulfills both. It only fulfills one, but it could be either one, which is more convenient for you. Like you could change that later. So this one here, music, cults, could fulfill either an A or a G, but not both with the same class. So you can look through here, see what classes fulfill it, and when you're looking at classes, there are a few things you should keep in mind. First, select here. If it says SR, that means there are seats remaining. That means it's open, for the most part. I'll get back to that. C means it's closed, it's full. So you can't sign up for that because there's no seats left. Your course and section is just like the numbers of classes. Like this would be AAAS 250, and a section. Like sometimes classes have more than one section. In this case, most of these only have one. And they're just different time slots for the most part. Number of credits it is, and restrictions. If you see an R next to a class, it means there are restrictions on the class. So you might have to click it and see what the restrictions are. For this class specifically, you must get permission from the instructor. So like if you're just going in for your first time, you won't be able to sign up for this specific class because there is a restriction on it. So we're going to go back. This is the title of the class, what it is. It's always good to click on this over here, the CRN number, just to see what the class is, like an overview of the class, because sometimes it might not be exactly what you would expect, but we don't have to read that now. That could be done at any time. This is just an example. All right, let's go. All right, so we're back here. Didn't really want to be, but let's pick class. chemistry class, or biochemistry, even better. So I clicked biochemistry, and there are no other restrictions at all. All the other ones are under all. So this is every class in the biochemistry department, and those are the classes in biochemistry department. There's a lot of restrictions here, but so I think just about all of them have restrictions. But forget that for now. You have your title here, the days of the week in which a class takes place. So this class, molecular genetics, the lecture is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:40 to 10:40 a.m. But you have to keep in mind that it also has a discussion, which is Wednesday at 4:40 to 5:40. So if you want to take molecular genetics, you have to take both of these rows here pretty much. You have to sign up for both or you won't fulfill the class requirements. Capacity is the number of people you could have in a class. The ACT is the people signed up for the class. So for molecular genetics, there's 35 total and 34 have signed up. And here it's remaining 35. If there are 35 and 34 signed up, there is one remaining. So there's not much space left in this class. Xtel remaining, I'm not too sure what this is, but I don't think freshmen could do anything about that. I think you have to ask like a professor and get permission. Here's your instructor. Here's the dates for the lecture that the class lasts, pretty much from start to end. And here's where it takes place, lecture hall 14 and lecture hall 8 for your discussion. So that's the overview of what this screen means. A few like tips for signing up. Like if you have a hand, like let's say 4 classes, and 3 of them have like 20 seats or more remaining, and let's say you have to take molecular genetics, which only has 1 seat remaining, I suggest you sign up for molecular genetics, submit that, just make sure you get that spot, and then sign up for the other ones later, because it's not as urgent to get into the other ones as it is if there are less seats remaining. And the way you sign up, this is just looking up classes. This is kind of to get an idea of what your schedule will look like. I suggest getting several potential schedules, because it's not rare that the first one doesn't work out too well. But once you get a few schedules, you think you know it's all lined up and everything, you're going to go to student registration again, and you're going to go to add or drop courses. So this is where you actually register, and you're going to get a screen like this. There will be a time during your orientation. I think it is 9 a.m. the second day, I'm not too sure. But that's when it opens. Right now it's closed for everyone except certain people in orientation. But for me it's closed right now. So when it does open, you're just going to refresh the page, and there will be, it'll be a different page. There will be little boxes down here, and that's where you type in those CRN numbers. Those you have to make sure you know those CRN numbers, type them in, and you just type those in and hit submit. And if it goes through without any notices, that means it's good. It'll show that you registered for like a little above. And then either you could register for the rest of your classes, you could drop the classes you signed up for, or you're done at that point. But another thing, if there are some classes that you need to get into quick, like 1 seat or 2 seats remaining, I would suggest bringing a watch to orientation, and when it hits 1 minute before you start, look at the seconds on your watch and try to refresh like almost on the second it turns. So when it opens, you'll be ready to refresh immediately, and you could type in that class really quick and get into there. I know a lot of people had issues with this, but that's what I did, and I got into all of my classes I wanted. So that was good for me at least. So we're going to look up classes again. Another thing I was asking about is the time difference in the classes. Let's go H. It doesn't matter here. This is just to look up times. So let's say you have a class that ends at 9:55 and starts at 10:05. Again, this is just an example. You might not be taking these same classes, but this is when you have to pay attention to the locations. For the most part, none of the classes are spaced less than 10 minutes apart, and that by that I mean you'll never have less than 10 minutes to get from one class to another. And with these 10 minutes, you could get pretty much anywhere on campus to anywhere else on campus. So don't really worry about the commute lasting more than 10 minutes. And if it does, which it's very rare, you could talk to your professor, and like they'll probably give you a little leeway. Like, okay, you're coming from across campus. It's okay if you're a few minutes late. I believe that's about all there is to talk about. Remember, CRNs are what you need to type in to sign up, so make sure you got those. Make sure you need a lecture, discussion, and a lab if your class has it. It might not always have it. And just be ready to refresh that page once the time hits the time to sign up. Other than that, I think that's about all there is to cover. All right, I hope this helped. Good luck with your registration.